you sort of have to choose. Either you fall in love, right, and you get all the like intoxicated bliss that goes with being in love, or you take your booster shot that flips a switch in your brain and now you become immune.
Coming all the way from Minneapolis to Washington, D.C., we now bring you Enter the Freud.
Warning! This content is for entertainment purposes only. It is not medical advice. Do not take anything we say seriously, for goodness sakes.
I was talking to a guy yesterday, and it's so fascinating. This dude is literally just like, he has a superpower of being like fluid with the just constant barrage of insults that happen in a relationship, right? And I don't want to say that that's like constant with all relationships. It definitely isn't. But there is a time when relationships get into a cycle that turns into one person is just describing the other one in a way that is highly critical and condescending.
Totally.
And somewhat I don't want to say abusive because it's not. It's just like an analytical, the most judgmental type of analysis you could do to the other, and then most people respond with immediate defensive posturing, and then like, don't you tell me that. The reason why I did that is because you told me.
Totally.
I did that because of you. And I saw a guy with so much finesse yesterday literally hear the barrage of stuff where I internally recoiled and was like, ooh, that's going to be bad. And he just said, oh yeah, okay, right on. Yeah, okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that sometime.
He said that to his wife?
Yes.
Wow.
And I just was like, it's the first time I've seen this dude, so I don't know if he can do this consistently or if that was just an amazing display. To do that,
it's like he wasn't really taking her that seriously. He wasn't really letting her under his skin.
No, you're right.
Which, he would, I mean, I know how that looks with women I've been with, but when I'm like that with a woman, I actually I'm not that into her. I'm not that invested in her if I can do that. If I get invested, if I'm in love with a woman, I can't do that with them. And I can only do that with a woman if I'm not in love with them.
That definitely fits this situation, right? I think that was a pretty quick analysis as to like, well, how is it that somebody could possess this superpower? Because I immediately wanted to like take a syringe full of his blood, take it to the lab, create an inoculation. They might call this a type of a vaccine against women, right? I don't know how many shots you need. It might be more than COVID, right? How many boosters do you need to get the inoculation from women's critique?
Yeah. But if my analysis is right, which I don't know if it is, but if it is, then you sort of have to choose. Either you fall in love, right, and you get all the like amazing sex and just like intoxicated bliss that goes with being in love, and when then she starts criticizing you, you want to punch her in the face and run for the hills and never speak to her again. So either you get that, or you take your booster shot that flips a switch in your brain and now you become immune to the lady's criticism, but now you're not in love anymore. And now, but also now her shit doesn't drive you crazy and perhaps send you to prison for wifocide. But then you don't get that blissful thing, or like, I mean, you can still have sex and enjoy sex, but there's something about the type of sex when you're in love with the woman is just like, you just feel like you're soaring on a plane through the heaven and joy and it's just like so crazy. And so it's like, which one do you want? And I I don't fucking know. It sort of raises the question, which maybe we should try to like tackle, is like, what does this mean to be in love, and how to manage it, and do you really want to do it, and what are the pros and cons, and
Wow. But once again, as everyone knows through history, because I've had people try to argue that, oh, there isn't real true love, it's just an infatuation, and this is a messy subject, because terms like obsession, infatuation get thrown in to confuse the concept.
Yep.
So that you can't discuss it, rather than say, like, look, historically everyone is pointing towards something.
Yep.
All of the poets and all of the authors who talk about Cupid's arrow striking you,
Yep.
as if it's done to you.
Yep.
Or as the English term is, you fall
Yep.
in love. You are against the most powerful force of gravity.
Yep.
Right? Or maybe it's not the most powerful, but it's the most easily identifiable force.
Yep.
Gravity is
Yep.
pulling you in. And so it's like, if you don't have a choice, then you don't get to choose whether you get to be the guy who is ready for the inoculation,
Yeah.
or are you the guy who is sucked into the vortex?
Yeah. That's a good question if you have a choice. Obviously, to some degree, you don't, but have you ever... Well, I'm sure you have. I'm thinking about when I've been dating, and I'm experiencing different women dating, and some women, you know, when I'm dating, what I'm always doing is I'm playing this game, and I almost feel like I'm using my psychologist Jedi mind trick skills to try to get them to fall in love with me. Like, that's what I'm doing always when I'm dating. Even on how I make a dating app profile, is all just like trying to get them to fall in love with me, and I'm constantly like assessing and trying to use Jedi mind tricks to like trick them. And I feel like those, you know, professional boxers supposedly, like, it's like illegal for them to use their professional boxing. I feel like that should be true of good therapists and dating, because I totally feel like I got mind tricks that I can fucking trick them into falling in love with me. But my point is that some women, it's really easy, and man, I can just like get them to fall in love with me like fucking... Sometimes I feel like I'm already got them to start falling in love with me via our dating app messaging before we've even met. But for sure, sometimes halfway through the first date, I'm like, oh, I got her. She's totally like on the slippery slope. And then some ladies, they like are immune to Jedi mind tricks. And it's just like you can feel they have a force field up, and they're not gonna open up that vulnerable part of themselves that will allow them to fall in love with me.
Yeah, fast. Well, so first of all, I got to ask you, during these dates where you can tell the woman is falling for you, how can you tell? What are the signs?
It's well, that's a good question. My hunch, sorry, I'm going to get a little bit weird and far out there. My hunch is there's some almost like sixth sense thing, like that somehow some other semi-conscious, not fully conscious, but not totally unconscious, some other, if I use like a metaphor of like a third eye, or I have some other, let's say I have a love eye, a fourth eye right here, that I'm seeing some energetic thing in them open up. That's my hunch, is that there's something else that is not super conscious. But if I tried to say it in really practical terms, it's like, you can see their body language kind of open up. You can see their eyes open up. Yes. It's almost like more blood comes to their face, and you can feel them like open up to me, and like they're wanting to like, metaphorically, it's they're wanting to like collapse into my lap is kind of the feeling of it.